Here we go with Caesar, Julius Caesar, Civil War. Caesar, starting off the nominative, etsi though, ad spam conficiendi negote. This is to the hope of completing, that's the gerundive or gerund, of completing business, maxime probabat. So he greatly approved of this, or this was his great plan, was to have the hope of completing his business. Coactus navibus, he would, having done this in the ablative, having grouped all these ships together, basically what it means, transire mare, to cross the sea, this is the Adriatic Sea, I think, and sequi Pompeium, and to follow Pompey. This was the plan that he thought was great. Priusquam, so this is prior then, ille, this is probably Pompey. Prior to Pompey, confirmament, which means strengthening his transmarine auxiliaries, which means his auxiliaries over the sea, say for himself. So this was his plan, get his ships together and cross it and follow Pompey prior to Pompey getting his overseas auxiliaries. Tamen, nevertheless, eos reis moram, so nevertheless, morams are delaying the accusative, temporis qui longitude, longiquitatem, I hate all these things that have got double T's and triple T's, timobat, so he was fearing this delay in this matter, eos rei, and the long length of the time, quite because omnibus coactus navibus Pompeius. So, okay, Pompey is going to be a nominative here. So Pompey has all the omnibus navibus, all the ships himself. He's coactus them together. So Pompey has collected all the ships together. Presentem facultatem insequende sue ad emerit. So Pompey had ad emerit. He had driven away the present facultatem, the present opportunity, in sequendi, of following him, because he's already gathered all the ships together, so that took away Caesar's option here. Reliquibator, looks like it was left, something was being left, so that ex long, here we go, this word again, longiquinoribus regionibus, so from the furthest regions, ex means from them, of Gaul, Gallia, Picenque, and Picenum, and et a fretto, from the straits, these are Sicilian straits, expectende naves ascent. So what was remaining, what was left, was that he would have to expende, which is to wait, expecto, and he was waiting for these naves, the ships, from the furthest reaches of Gaul and Picenum and the straits. And I'll just show you where I get these texts from. It's the Latin library here. You go to Caesar, and then the Civil War, books 1, 2, and 3, and there they are in the same size that I use here, which is Book Antiqua 16. So id, this, which is the neuter form, propter eni tempus, on account of, propter and ob mean on account of, in early Latin they can mean up against, but on account of the tempus, the time, eni of year, longum en impedium videabatur. So videabatur means it seemed, a long thing, and an impendium, which is an impediment, basically having to wait for these ships from these long regions on account of the time. Seemed to be going to be a long and drawn out thing. Inter rea, meanwhile, veterum exercitum, in the accusative, the old army, Duas Hispanius, and we have two Spains, it's probably the two provinces of Spain, confirmare, this is a passive infinitive, to be strengthened, quarum, of which erat was altera, one of them, Maximus Beneficis Pompei de Victor. So one of these, the altera, was conquered, you might want to say, devicted by the extreme Beneficis, or the great kindness of Pompey. Auxilia equitatem parare, so auxiliaries and the cavalry to be prepared. Again, we have confirmare, passive infinitive, parare, looks like another infinitive. Gallium and Italium qui, so Gaul and Italy. Temptare, se absente, nollibat. So here's the verb. So he didn't want, I'm guessing this is Caesar. He didn't want the veteran army in the two Spains to be strengthened, confirmare, because one had been conquered by these great kindnesses of Pompey, and he was not wanting them to prepare auxiliaries and cavalry and se absente. This means in his absence, and there to be any attempts on Gaul and Italy, pretty much is what that's on about. Itaque, and so on. So accordingly, in praesentia, in present circumstances, Pompeo sequendi rationem omitted, comma. So he omitted, so he left off, cast off his rationem, which is his plan or reasoning, double genitive, of following Pompey. So present situation being what it was, he left off this plan to follow Pompey, and in Hispania, in the accusative, profisci constituit. So he decided, he constituted himself, that he would set out profisci into Spain. Duum virus municiporum omnium imperat. So imperat, he ordered the duum virs, the magistrates of the municipals, which are the towns, omnium. So he ordered the magistrates of all the towns there that he could, I suppose, or that they naves conquirent. They conquirent means they search out, look for naves, they look for ships. Brundisiumque, and the ducendas curate, and that they take care of this matter, that they deducendas, which is a gerundive or something, that they lead these naves, the deducendas, the naves, to Brundisium. Mittit. Caesar sent in Sardiniam into Sardinia cum legiona una, with one legion. Valerium, we say it's a proper noun, the legatum, who's in that position. So Valerius, the legate or his delegate, in Sicilium, into Sicily. Curionem, curio, pro praetor, has a praetor, cum legionibus duobus, with two legions. There's some sort of conflict here. It says it's 3 legions in the lobe. Iundum, pronoun, the same man, cum Sicilium recaperat, when he had retaken Sicily. So this would be Curio, the guy he sent there with these 2 or 3 legions. The same guy, when he had taken Sicily, protonus, adverb, immediately on afterwards, in Africam traducere exercitum ubet. So he ordered this guy, that's probably why he's still in the accusative, that he would traducere, lead the exercitum, the army, into Africa. Sardiniam obtinabat M. Cotta. So M. Cotta is probably Marcus Cotta, was holding Sardinia. Sicilium M. Cato, so that'd be Marcus Cato, was holding Sicily. Africam sorte tubero obtinere debabat. So Africa ought to have been debabat, obtinere, being held, a sorte by lot, as you said in this blade of use. Tubero, so Tubero is a guy who ought to have been holding Africa according to the lots. So they draw shards out of a pot or something like that to get their lots. Simul, same time, ad se to them, Valerium mitai audierant. Audio means they've heard. Again, it's plural from the NT. So as soon as they heard Valerius mitai had been sent, again, it's a head verb, so it takes a rather oblique. So they heard that Valerium's being sent to them. Non dum, not yet profecto ex Italia. So guessing is not yet set out from Italy. Sua sponte, which means of their own accord. Sua is their own, sponte is their own will, basically. Cotem ex oppido iciunt, which means they threw him out. So they threw, again, there's the NT showing it's these plural people did it. So they threw Cotta out from their town. Illi, he, per territus in apposition, passive participle. So he was very afraid, the per being very or thoroughly. So this is be Cotta, he was very afraid. Quod because omnem provincium, all the province, consentire allegabat, because he was knowing that all the province was sentiri, this is what they were feeling, and con means together. So all the province together was feeling this sort of ill will towards him, which had him cast out from this town. And ex Sardinia, from Sardinia, in Africa, into Africa, he profugated, he fled. Cato in Sicilia, so Cato in Sicily, naves longas veteres reficibat. So he was refitting or repairing these veteres, which means old. Naves are ships, longas are in a position. These long ships are warships, which they use for war basically. Novas, this would be novas naves, new ships, civitadibus imperabat. So he was ordering from these city-states or probably from the provinces, new ships. So he repaired the old ships and was ordering new ones. Hake, these things, Magno Studio Agabat. So Agabat means he was doing this with Magno Studio and ablative with great zeal. In Lucanus Brutusque, so these are two places, Lucania and Brutium, per legatos suos, through his legates or his delegates or his deputies, civium remunoris delectus habebat. So he held a delectus, which is a recruitment of Roman citizens, double genitive. Equitum, which are cavalry knights, peditumque and foot soldiers. Curtum numerum, a certain number of these. That's why we've got the there in the plural genitive. From the civitadibus, these are the same things that were going on here. Civitadibus means from these cities. Exigibat means he forced out from these cities Sicalia of Sicily. Having a daily dictionary from the all list downwards. Exigo. You see it's the third declension because there's no macron above the E. Drive out, demand, weigh, determine, test, spend time, finish. So this will be driving out, which is its main use. We're just about done. Quibus rebus, with these things or these matters, paeni perfectus, almost completed. Quibus rebus, paeni perfectus. Adventu curionis cognito queritur. So the advent of curio, the arrival of curio cognito, so adventu and cognito are probably ablative. So when he knew the arrival of curione, he querited, he complained, in a contione, in an assembly. It's just the doubling up of himself. Projectum and proditum, so himself had been projected out or rejected, thrown out, and proditum betrayed. CN Pompeo, by Pompey. So now he's complaining that he was rejected and betrayed by Pompey. Quibus, who? Omnibus rebus imparatissimus. Okay, so here's our superlative. In all matters, in omnibus rebus, he was very unprepared, imparata. Non necessarium bellum suscepisset. So he had suscipiated, he had taken up a bellum, a war, which was not necessary. So he was rejected, betrayed. Pompey had been unprepared in all things. He took up a war which was not necessary. Et ab se reliquisque, and from himself and the remaining people, reliquis, in senatu, in the Senate, which is a fourth declension word. Interrogatus, so he'd been interrogated in the Senate. Omnia sibi esse ad bellum apta imperata confirmavit. So when he'd been interrogated in the Senate, he said that he had everything confirmed. He would strengthen that everything apt for war and prepared for war. Omnia, everything that he had taken care of, sibi for himself. Haec in contione questus, so these complaints or lamentations in the assembly, ex provincia, from the province, fugit. So after he did this complaining in the assembly, he fled the province.